The walls shiver faintly, dragging you from your restless sleep with a sound like metallic heartbeats in the void. It's soft at first, barely there, but the rhythm hooks into your consciousness, pulling you upright before your mind catches up. The back of your neck prickles against the recycled chill of the air. You sit there, breath shallow in the dim, flickering light of your reading lamp. You've been underwater for 15 days, 21 hours, and 13 minutes. The station's timekeeper tracks it down to the second. Isolation contours every corner of the dormitory chamber. The pale synthetic bedding sags in the cold damp, wall vents wheeze faintly under constant recalibration, and the uneven pulse of a condensation leak ticks time that no longer matters. Your fingers tap out a reflexive rhythm on the steel frame of the bed, like reassurance, like noise control. But the knocking doesn't stop. It seems to be coming through the far bulkhead, where the reinforced titanium hull meets the ocean's indescribable weight. Could pressure shifts feel so deliberate? You swing your legs onto the icy floor, the ridged texture of the panels grooved under your bare feet. The station groans faintly in the distance, structural stress whining like bone under strain. But nothing explains the rhythmic knocking. You slip into the control hub, leaving behind the warmthless solitude of your quarters. The air here smells sharper, faint acerbic notes of iodine and grease. Your hands work shakily over the diagnostics panel. External pressure anomalies? Maybe. Sonar distortion from some whale call at depth? Possibly. Yet as you parse the log feed on the screen, every rational suggestion loses ground. It isn't random, it loops. You replay the acoustic transmissions twice, both times steeling yourself against the urge to flinch. It's too steady, too human. Somewhere in the data, it's almost clear. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 more. Repeat. Pressure anomaly logged, the automated system chimes. Its neutrality feels mocking. At 4,000 meters deep, anomalies shouldn't knock. The recorded sound filters into your headset, louder, more resonant. Then, distantly, identity not quite confirmed, another faint knock trails beneath the primary rhythm. Deliberate. The pressure in your chest feels more oppressive than the ocean pressing outside. You move to the station's comms hub for answers. The screen is cold against your fingers as you open the line to the surface. Station Alpha 7 to surface team, over. Static rushes in like dead air howling over a grave. Station Alpha 7, you say again. Do you copy? The line crackles, crumples, falls silent, alone. Only the ocean listens now, or something else. You replay the knock signal one more time. Your throat tightens as it sinks in. This isn't noise. It's a pattern. 3 by 3. Like a signal, but what signals in the abyss? At first, you think it's the station lights glitching again, a not uncommon occurrence in the damp chill of mid-mission fatigue. But the flickering doesn't come from the LEDs, it's outside. You lean closer to the observation window, your breath fogging the glass despite the ventilation system whirring steadily above. Silhouettes emerge in the deep, faint swirls of shape and motion wreathed in pale, cold light. The bioluminescence flares not randomly, as it should in startled microorganisms or baitfish, but in sequence. A sweep left, a pause, a sweep right. Your pulse matches its rhythm in spite of itself. Visual, the glass reveals ghostly blooms of faint blue crescents, lurid and shifting, like a painter's nervous hand dragging brushstrokes into symmetry. You tap the side of the console instinctively, but this time it isn't for focus. You mimic the knock on the bulkhead, 3 by 3. Rubbing your free hand against your forearm, the sleeves of your jumpsuit provide no warmth. You focus on the alien synchrony outside. They react. The shapes thicken, drawing closer. One brushes against the glass. For an instant, you swear the glow outlines something solid. A spiny carapace? A segmented limb, but the light winks out too quickly to tell. Your stomach knots as the swarm gathers tighter. You knock once more. 3 by 3. The pulsing lights respond, not simultaneous but staggered, spiraling outward like concentric ripples on water, only in reverse, closing in. You bolt from the observation deck, cold sweat dampening the collar of your undershirt. Turning down the corridor, you retrace steps toward the data analysis lab. You need proof. The lab's pale overheads sting after the oppressive murk, throwing sharp shadows across your workstation. You shove yesterday's nutrient sachet wrappers to the floor and boot the sonar interface, fingers twitching between half-formed commands. The screen hisses to life. You scrub back through last hour's audio files, layering knock samples against spectrogram data. You need, crave, the concrete, the tangible. Anything that anchors this. The knocks replay. Decelerated, their rhythm resolves into something more. Not static randomness, but precise, like Morse code stripped bare of human artifacts. Breath hitching, you plot intervals from peak to peak. 37 hertz, 35, 37 again. The micro changes repeat deliberately. The knocks aren't disorganized, they're adaptive. Visual, the screen blooms with jagged waveforms, their patterns jagged but unsettlingly consistent. Red markers chart unpredictable peaks, converging by thirds into deliberate clusters. You yell into the recorder without thinking, documenting what you shouldn't be seeing. This isn't mechanical interference, spectral alignment's too clean for malfunction. Intrinsic signal-to-noise ratio fits. You trip over jargon as the realization settles in, cold and immovable as stone. It's responding. Then your scanner feed blanks. Not just scrambled. A void stares back where environmental telemetry should read oxygen levels, seismic stresses, temperature. Instead, the words error code unknown flash slow strokes of red against the dark grid. The words become rhythmic, the same in triplicate. The external feed camera kickstarts itself in the bottom corner of your screen like surveillance creeping back from a blackout. You freeze mid-motion. Hardwired searchlights faintly outline the terrain beyond the station. Murky silt clouds scatter into motion above the seabed, a liquid avalanche disturbed by something vast and unseen. Beams cut through but dim eternally before touching distance. And then you see it. This time there's no doubt. A shadow glides past the low-mounted cameras, blacker than absence itself. It blocks the floodlight glare completely, a void that shifts and flexes. Its outlines are wrong, no finned fish, no seamless curve of whale. There are angles, too many. And then, faint but deliberate, the knocks return. Only this time, they're louder. Your breath catches when the dull gleam of the glass flashes jagged imperfections under your dim flashlight beam. The reinforced port window isn't supposed to have any blemishes. It's polycarbonate laminate designed to endure what human flesh cannot. But there it is. Marks. 3 deep grooves scraped diagonally upward across the pane. Not scratches, not cracks from pressure stress. These are deliberate, uneven in depth, edged as if carved. Your gloved hand drifts forward, almost involuntarily, brushing the texture of the surface. The grooves run deeper than you thought. Your fingers stop at the end of one. Its edge terminates in a faint, glossy smear. Fused, the material looks burned, melted into itself by something impossibly hot or strong. A vibration courses faintly through the floor beneath your boots. Rhythmic now, faint but unmistakable, matched eerily by the tempo in your chest. You snap your head up, heart crashing at the childish thought that something might be peering back through the window. The flashlight wavers in your shaking grip, cutting across empty, dark water. But outside, nothing. Only diffused light catching faint motes of particulate. Only the abyss. Yet you swear the grooves weren't there yesterday. You pull back sharply. The flashlight beam jerks. Behind you, the corridor stretches endlessly in both directions, the emergency lighting throwing disjointed shadows in the stale, moist air. You're not cold, but your body's thrumming as though you are. Every nerve tightens around an instinct clawing its way to your rational mind. Move. Now. The hum of the station, faintly uneven, fills the silence left by the knock. Or thud, or whatever it was. It blends back into the mechanical heartbeat of the habitat, and for a moment you almost convince yourself it's the standard tectonic creak of metal under pressure. Then it repeats, closer this time. Your lungs seize, gasping against the tightening sensation of air that almost tastes wrong. You crumble into the central control chair, shakily tapping at the touchpad on the life support interface. The icons jitter slightly in response, a series of warning codes lined in muted red text. Station oxygen efficiency, 78%. It should read 98%. The recirculators hum unevenly, laboring against silence. You switch focus to the backup systems, but the screen delays responding, as sluggish as molasses, and the air sitting thick in your throat confirms this isn't just a glitch. A deliberate sequence now. You know it isn't random. A pressure-lock chamber groans faintly further aft in the station. Your gaze snaps upward to the overhead piping. For long seconds, nothing stirs. No sound escapes the persistent hum. But then, louder. You make yourself stand, despite your legs threatening to fail. The artifacted memory of the etched port window throbs in your vision. Intelligence. It's a theory. Half-baked, sure, but growing roots every second you hesitate to act. The sound isn't the erratic quake of geologic shifts or the scraping tail of some massive scavenger. It's communicating. Testing responses. The dull pulse in your shoulder blades rises in unison with the knocks. The tempo picks up speed, cramming itself in the space around your thoughts. Too fast now, too human. A spark of paranoia stings you, that rhythm, it's almost mocking. Tap, 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 then heavier. Bang! Panic claws at your throat when the overhead light flickers and dies altogether. Monitor screen faces glow faint shades of green, casting warped reflections of your face onto the glossy bulkhead surface. The backup emergency lighting pulses a hellish red that confuses the corridor. Shadows fold into themselves, tangling massively where the modular ceilings meet. You grab the console's edge, holding it like an anchor. The screen glitches wildly now, cycling through vital readings that lurch below safety margins. Breathable oxygen, solar reserve power, pod pressure integrity all plummet in rapid succession without you touching a single button. They stabilize milliseconds too late, savory human sense of heated wires making your stomach churn. But the oxygen number doesn't recover. It drops. You can't stay here. You jerk the console's intercom system into action mid-buzz. Hazy green, seal here, isolate aft. Instructions flare below your palm. You don't entirely register your own words repeating the sequence into the radio channel, if anyone is listening. But this will lock half the habitat's aft compartments, force complete bulkhead isolation, a sane survivor move. But seals don't fix knocks, do they? Something metal, crawling, weighs overhead no deeper above than internal sound going beyond. For audible, knocks shift centralized by dorsal stations, tighten stew stomach takes forward response triggers. Ends mechanical. Your transmission ends in static, but the first reply punches through like an auditory tidal force, loud, deliberate, and precise. It rattles everything. The console screen, the reinforced porthole glass, the fillings in your teeth. The sound isn't just heard, it's felt, resonating deep enough to churn your stomach. 3 beats, a pause, 2 more, slower, heavier. Each knock lands like a lead weight dropped onto the hull. The hairs on your arms rise painfully, one after the other, as if plucked by invisible fingers. Visual, red emergency LEDs. Their faint halos expand and shrink as vibrations distort the bulkhead panels, knocking through the vacuum of water, knocking at you. It stops. You don't stop shaking. The damp air presses harder, somehow denser since the sound began. Your breathing turns shallow, paralyzed under an invisible grip. You look down. Your fingertips are twitching in erratic rhythm on the edge of the console. Tap, 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 tap. It mimicked you. Or no, you mimicked it, that pattern. It wasn't random. Your mind draws the connection too quickly for comfort. Somewhere, buried under 4 kilometers of black ocean, something alive and listening knows how to say hello or goodbye. The idea should be absurd. Paranoia, the isolation getting to you. This deep. Evolution doesn't work like that. You think of vent fish with translucent heads, barrel eyes gazing up at passing predators. Adaptations to survive, not to engage in Morse code. Language doesn't belong here. It's too human. Stop, you whisper to yourself, swallowing the word. The station feels too quiet in retaliation, thick with expectation, waiting for the next move. Your hands hover over the console. You consider options, none of them good, all of them insane. The knocking wasn't a threat, not hunting, reaching. But reaching what? Communication. Communication is always bidirectional. Ice crawls into your veins as the realization sets in. If you respond, there's no undoing it. If you don't, maybe it knocks harder. There's no sane choice, just options. Your finger hesitates above the audio relay switch. Fine, you hiss through clenched teeth. You knock. I knock back. Then nothing. You leave, I stay. Somehow, the words taste even stupider aloud, and yet part of you knows it's too late. Whatever this is, it already knows you're here. Soft static fills your ears as you activate the station's directional microphones. The external speakers crackle faintly before stabilizing. A slow vibration hums through the floor beneath your boots. Not mechanical. Something else. You press record. Tap. Tap, tap, tap. Your pulse throbs along with the pattern as you play back the transmission. It feels like a prayer. A stupid, reckless prayer. Sweat trickles down your spine. icy and humiliating. The reply doesn't make you wait. 6 knocks, perfectly spaced. Then a low groan, like metal folding under pressure, drags itself across the station's length. The sound is too massive. The floor shivers violently as tuneless vibrations ripple up through your boots. You grip,